Hi, this is Susan Arango from Little Guy CGI, and today I'm going to show you how to use the basics of the video editor that comes in Blender 2.72. So let's get started. If you're new to Blender, when you first come in, go to File, User Preferences, and under Input you'll see Select with Left or Right. By default, Blender selects with the right mouse button, which some of you that are coming from other programs where left click is dominant, just switch it to left, save user settings, and it will work like you're used to having your mouse work. When you first come into Blender, the interface that you see can be a little overwhelming. So we're just going to focus on what you need to utilize the video editor. Before we go to the video editor screen, I'm going to left click and pull this out so you'll be able to see all the settings over here. The first button up here where the camera is the one we're going to concern ourselves with, because whatever button you have clicked up here is what shows up in your settings down here. So we have the camera clicked. These are the buttons where you either want to render a still image or render your animation, which we'll cover later. First thing you want to set up is your display, which by default is the image editor, meaning that whatever you render out is going to show up in this window right here. So we've gotten into the habit, my husband Ali and I, of changing it to new window, so that way what you're rendering pops up in a window. If you're using a 2-monitor setup, it shows up in the second monitor, or it'll show up here in a second window, so you can continue to utilize your screen here while something's rendering in the other screen. The next one you're going to come down to is your dimensions. Under Render Presets, you're going to click the arrow and you're going to select HD TV 1080p. And what that does, I picked the wrong one. That one, HD TV 1080p. And what that does is it sets your resolutions to the highest resolution possible for Blender to output, which is 1920 by 1080 at 100%. Over here is your frame range, meaning how many frames you have, and the animation is usually set for 24 frames per second. We're going to change that to 29.9 frames per second, and later on I'll show you how to set your start frame and your ending frame, which we'll come back to here. You can skip over all these other settings, come down to Output. If you click on the folder here, it's going to open up where you can save it. If you go to Desktop and you have create a new directory here, we'll name it Blender Output. Hit enter, and if you click on that, that's where whatever video you're creating will go. So you can put it anywhere on your computer. You can name it anything you want. You could create other folders here if you wanted to have before and after, whatever you wanted, and just hit accept here. And when you click your render button to render out the video you're going to create, that's where it will go. You then come down here to this button where it says PNG. We're going to switch it to MPEG. If you were doing something like what my husband does, the 3D modeling or other projects in Blender, it could be beneficial to leave that as PNG, because what it does is if it renders out PNGs, it renders out 1 frame per second. So if you're doing let's say 10 seconds of video times 29 frames per second, that's a lot of frames. If Blender crashes or if something happens while you're rendering, if you're rendering into MPEG, which is a video file format, you can't go back and make any changes. All your work will be lost and you'll have to start over again as far as the render process. Whereas if you have it rendering out in PNGs, say it crashes at frame number 1252, you can just restart Blender, go back to frame 1252 in your video editor, and restart the process right from there, because it's rendering frames as opposed to the compressed frames in an MPEG format. But for this video, we're going to set it to the MPEG because we want it to come out in a video format. The next button is encoding. So you click that, scroll down a little bit. The only thing you need to concern yourself here with is the format. We're going to change this to an MPEG 4. The bit rate underneath of here, we're going to change to 24,300. The minimum you're going to leave at 0 under rate. The maximum you're going to change to 30,000. So now you have everything set up that you need for when you render your video out. And it's better to do this ahead of time, because if you spend a lot of time in the video editor and you come back out here and you're all excited and you can't wait to get the video out, and you just push animation and it starts rendering and you didn't have your settings right, it'll come out terrible, pixely and blurry and all kinds of issues, and you learn that through trial and error. So these are the settings that work best for rendering out high resolution video. So I have a little note card that I keep that has the settings on it just in case I forget, and this is the best way to set it up before you even enter the video editor in order to have the best outcome. So after all your settings have been set up, now we're going to go into the video editor. Up here where it says default, you click the arrow and you get the drop down screen and you go to video editing. Your screen totally changes. Everything else goes away. Your settings are still there, don't worry. And here is your video editor. Again, it looks overwhelming when you first come in it, but once you familiarize yourself with the buttons that you need, there's a lot of buttons that honestly I have no idea what they do. I learn every time I watch someone else's tutorial on how to do the video editing better, a little something new. But for beginners and just starting out, and if you just want to edit some soccer game videos, some birthday party video, this is really all you need to get started. So we come in here to the video editor, and come down here to add, and you're going to go and you're going to find either your video clip or your image. You can do both, and I'm going to show you how to do both. So first we'll bring in our movie clip. I already have movie clips set up that I put together ahead of time. And when you come to here, let me go back up one. These are the files. This is my desktop. These are my Blender tutorial files. This is for the day that I'm making the video. I put my video clips in one and the picture or stills in the other one. So we're going to start with the video clips. So if you come in here, you can't, I name them and I try to name the things that I'm going to remember what they mean, but if you need to see what they are in order to make your selection, just come up here to these four windows and click, and they'll open like this so you have a better idea of what you're working with, because once you bring them in, it is easy to move them around, but if you can bring them in the order that you want them to be, then it makes it even easier. So we're going to start with the dinosaur first. So we're going to click on him and we're going to add movie strip. And as you can see, it puts it in right here. The blue is the video strip. Now, if the video clip that you brought in had audio in it, let's say a soccer game, birthday party, or whatever, underneath of here would be another strip equally as long as this one that would be green, that would be your audio strip. These videos are animations from my husband's demo reel, which have no audio in them, so I'll show you later how to go to YouTube and find some music to put to your video if you don't want to use the audio that comes with it, because, you know, birthday parties and soccer games is screaming kids, screaming parents. You may want to just have the video playing with some nice music in the background and maybe listen to a little bit of the screaming here and there where you choose. But for right now, we just brought the video itself in. So if you come up here and hover over top of your viewing window and roll your mouse in and out, you can see that it changes your viewport as to what you see. This green line is your timeline indicator. That's controlled by right-clicking your mouse. If you right-click and hold, you can, what I'll call, scrub the timeline, and it allows you to go back and forth as long as you hold your right mouse button down. it allows you to go back and forth so you can get to the exact frame that you want, you know, depending upon what your video is about. Now let's say you want to change the name of this clip to something that when you're working in here, if you're going to have a lot of clips, it would make more sense to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, or actually put the names on it. You come over here where it says names, click on it and change it just like you would in other programs on your computer. I'm going to leave this the same for now, but as soon as you change it and hit enter, it'll change right here so that as you're moving these around in the video editor, you can keep better track of them. The other controls you need to concern yourself with are your middle mouse button. If you roll it towards you, it collapses your time. The green timeline is the beginning, and this hard line here is 250 frames, which is what Blender starts at default. If I come here and change this to 300 frames and hit enter, you'll see that that hard line jumped back to 300 frames. And that correlates with the start and stop frames in the Blender default window when we were making our settings that we'll refer to later on before we actually render out our video. So for right now, we'll leave it at 300, and as it changes, we'll change it as necessary because I'm not sure how long this is going to be actually. The other thing is as you can see, I'm moving left and right here. That's also middle mouse button push down will pull your timeline left and right. As you add videos one after the other and they grow out this way, you'll do a lot of rolling your mouse wheel to see all your clips. You'll also do a lot of this. If you get lost, like I just did, just roll your mouse wheel back towards you, and usually you can find yourself again. It's very easy to get lost, which is another reason why even in the video editor, using Blender, you should save a lot. So you come up here, save as, and save your files. You get all into the creative process of bringing video in and cutting it and putting it together, and it looks so nice and your creative juices are flowing, and you forget to save, and either Blender crashes or you do like I just did and you lose yourself and you can't get it back, and now all the work you've just did is lost and you have to start over, and it's very, very frustrating. So the best thing to do is just every 5-10 minutes or even less, go up here and save as. It'll save you a lot of headache in the long run. Some of the other controls you'll need to concern yourself with, we already went through the add, where you add your movie clip in or add your image in. Another way to add things into this, which is really, really nice, is drag and drop. So I already showed you how to bring in the video. To drag and drop either a video or a picture, I'm going to go onto my other screen. You have your file open that you want to bring in. Just click, drag it in, and drop it. So what I did is I brought in a picture of the dinosaur from the video that I brought in. Now, as you can see, it dropped it above it. So when I hold my right mouse button and I scrub over the timeline, all I'm going to see is that, because it's on the top in the hierarchy of what you see. As I get past it, it will switch to the animation. Now there are things that you can do, fancy things that I'm not going to cover in this video, to this clip. You can fade it in, you can fade it out, you can make it have a lower opacity. You can do all kinds of fun stuff to it to make it look better as it interacts with your video clip down here. Or you can just right click over top of it so that that's what you see. If you hit H, it'll hide whichever one you have selected. That's another thing that you need to constantly remind yourself of, is which clip you have selected, because it can be a little confusing as to what you have selected at the time. A also works in here, just like it does in the regular Blender when you do 3D and texture painting and whatnot. You hit A to select everything, hit A again, and it deselects everything. So that works in here as well, or you can just click on it and select it yourself. If you want to bring this back, you hit Alt-H, and that brings it back. So it's a quick way to just hide something so that you can see what you have underneath. The other button that you'll concern yourself with for the basics is Effect Strip. Now this has all kinds of fancy things that you can do, and they require a little getting used to. Some of them are very intuitive, other ones require some thought. Transform is a big one that you'll use that I'll probably show you in this video, just so you know how to use it for when you bring in still pictures that are misshapen. If you bring in a picture where everything is stretched out, I'm sure you've seen them on the internet or on TV, where the picture is all stretched out and it just doesn't fit into the scene right. You would put what they call a transform on it, and I'll show you how to do that when a little bit later in the video. But like I said, all of these are very useful for the video editing, but they aren't basics, they're more advanced. So for this video, we're just going to stick with the basics. So all you need to concern yourself with is movie, how to bring in a movie, how to bring in an image, and how to click Effect Strip and get a transform, which I'll go over in a few minutes. You can either bring in a movie or a picture using Add, or you can drag and drop like I said. Okay, the next thing we want to concern ourselves with is we're going to hide this picture again. So I left click it, hit H, it hides it. We're going to right click, bring our timeline back to the beginning. We're going to scrub it through a little bit, and we don't really need the back of the dinosaur running. So we're going to go to where it switches to the front, which is right there. So in order to get very, very, very precise cuts, we're going to hold our middle mouse button down, drag to the to the right a little bit. We're going to roll the wheel up. We'll drag and roll, drag and roll. And then we're going to use the arrow keys on our keyboard. If you hit the arrow key back once, you'll see that it goes to the dinosaur from the back. Hit the arrow key to the right once, and it now switches to the front. So when you're video editing, it comes down to seconds, and each push of the arrow key is a second. It's a frame. It's so many frames per second. So right now it's 29.9 frames per second. So each push of your key is 1 second of video. So I want to cut it so that we don't have the dinosaur's butt in the video. So now I'm going to show you how to cut the video. So the one thing you have to keep in mind is with the green timeline indicator, when you're going to cut, what is to the right of the timeline indicator is what you're going to keep, and what is to the left is what you're going to get rid of in this instance. It's important where this is, because if I cut it right here, you make sure that you have your video clip selected. You hit Shift K, and as you can see, it cut it right where my timeline was. Now I want to get rid of the dinosaur from the back, so I'm going to click on just this portion, hit X, erase strips, click it. As you can see, his butt is still there. That's because if I hit my arrow one more time, that's where it switches, and that's really where it should be cut. So like I said, what's to the right of the cut, you have to make sure that that's what you want, and to the left of the cut is what you want on the cut on that side, so that when you get rid of which either side you're going to get rid of, that you have it cut in the right spot. So just like Blender in the other modes of Blender that you can use, 3D and all that, Control Z will undo your steps. So we're going to come right back to where we were. We're going to go 1 frame over. We're going to hit Shift K to cut again. Select the footage we want to get rid of. Hit X, erase strips. So now we have exactly what we want, which is the dinosaur running up towards us. The reason I hit Shift K is because that's a hard cut. If I Control Z back and I hit just K, it also cuts, as you can see here. If I select this and hit X and erase strip, it also erased the strip. But if you can see, right down here is a very faint blue line. And that means that that portion of video that we just cut out is still there. It's just been hidden and cut. I'm not exactly sure what you're supposed to do with that later on, but I do know that when you start putting video clips together, if you leave that there, the soft cut, and these videos are hiding in the background of Blender somewhere, it messes up when you save it and come back to it to work it on later. It messes up how the videos combine together. So I suggest that you do just Shift K, which is a hard cut, and just erase the videos that way, and that way it's gone completely and you have no issues. We found out the hard way doing some video editing that that was a problem, and we started doing the Shift K, and it seems to work out really well. So now we have our video cut where we want it. We have the dinosaur back here. We're going to roll our mouse wheel back so that we see the beginning. We'll move the timeline indicator here. If we scrub our timeline now, we won't see anything because this is hidden. So we're going to select it and hit Alt H to bring it back. So now we see our dinosaur. Now, one thing you can do with a picture that you bring in that you can't do with a video, if you notice on the ends of each of these are arrows. And what that allows you to do is drag how long you want the picture to be shown. Now, if you did that with a video, it would mess up your timing of the video, not to mention if you had audio with the video, say someone speaking or whatever, it would also, then their lips wouldn't match what they were saying. So you can't do the same thing with video, but with picture you can just grab the arrows and move them however you want, however long you want the picture to be shown. So we're going to just leave it at that for right now. Then we're going to take our video clip, and you click on the video clip you want to move. Now, if you wanted this video clip to come right to the green line, snap to the green line, you would hit the select the video clip, then hit Shift S, and it automatically snaps whatever you have selected to the timeline. However, we don't want that because this picture is here. Now, like I said, we could put some fancy transforms and alpha overs and all that stuff on it to fade it in and out and all that, but I'm not going to do that in this video. That would be fine for it to be there. But we're going to click on it again, hit G, and we're going to move it back. So as you can see, the numbers that come up when I hit G tell you exactly where each one of these starts and ends. So the purple one here starts at 1 and ends at 5. The blue one starts at 6 and ends at whatever it ends at the end of it. You always left click to lock it in. So now if we hold our right mouse button down and we scrub the timeline, we see our picture, and then it switches seamlessly to the dinosaur running in. So here's our dinosaur with his bones, his rig inside of him that Ali created, and here's that same dinosaur running with the freestyle animation applied to it, which Ali also did in Blender and has a Blender tutorial for how to do all of this stuff that I'm doing. So if you put the timeline indicator right here, go back to your arrow keys. If you left arrow key click, you'll see that that's that frame. Then we come to this frame. So it's seamless. Now if you made a mistake, and let's say you didn't have it lined up just right, you would have a space here, so you would see black. And then you would know that you had made a boo-boo. If you wanted the black there because you want to put some kind of transform or crossover, that's fine. That's how you would do it. But like I said, for our purposes here, we're not going to do any of those fancy things today. So I want it to just go right from one to the other like that. So now we're going to roll our middle mouse wheel. We're going to push it down drag it over so we can get to the end of this video. We're going to right click and our green timeline indicator is going to jump to the end. If we use our left arrow and click one back, this means that there's a transparent frame at the end of that video. I don't want the whole video in here. I just want a little bit of the dinosaur running. Let's say we were making a demo reel for Ali's YouTube channel. We just want a little bit of the dinosaur running in here. So we're going to push our right mouse button down. We're going to scrub the timeline. We'll go back to the beginning. We see him running up here, so that's pretty cool. And then we see a close-up, and then he kind of runs past us. So how about we stop it right here where he's going to run past us. So if we right arrow click on our keyboard, that's the next frame. Left arrow click there. So that's the last frame that we want. So we're going to click on our video strip, Shift K to cut, and we're going to this time get rid of this side because this is what we want to keep over to the left of the green timeline. So we click on the right, hit X, erase strip. So now we're going to hold the right mouse button down, and now we see exactly what we wanted. So we have him being modeled with his rig, then we have him running towards us, and running towards us, and we go to black. So that's good for that one. So now we want to bring in our next picture and strip. So like I said, Blender defaults back to this, so you just come up here and click this again, and maybe next we'll do let me see, we'll do the mech next. So we'll click on the mech, bring that in. So here's our mech on the turntable. One thing I didn't show you is down here where it has your starting and your ending frame, it tells you exactly what frame you're on here. You'll see your controls right here, just like any other video editor. Forward, backward, backward all the way to the end, backward slow. If you don't want to hold your mouse button down to scrub the timeline and you just want to let it play, you just hit the play button and it'll play by itself. You can also manipulate things while you're in here so that you can decide what it is you want in your video. So this is pretty boring, him just spinning around there, so we don't need too much of that, and we definitely don't want him from the back. So we're going to stop it. We're going to right mouse click to bring our green timeline back to the beginning of the mech video. We'll hold it down, and it looks like from about here back to about here is pretty interesting. So we'll start at the end first. So right about here looks good. So we'll click on the video, Shift K to cut. We know we can get rid of all of this. Click on it, hit X, it will erase that. Then we're going to come back, and I think we can get rid of a little bit at the front. It might be okay. So we'll just leave it where it separates. Again, if you go back to your keyboard, left click one takes you back to that video, and then we're at the start of the next video if you hit the right arrow key on your keyboard. So now I want to bring in a picture for this one. So I'm going to go back over to my folder that I have opened in my other window, and I'm going to find the picture of the mech, and I'm going to drag and drop that. Like I said, you can drag and drop videos or pictures, it doesn't matter. Alright, so there's our mech wireframe. I'm going to click the arrow here, make it a little smaller just like we did with the dinosaur. Grab this, hit G, we'll move it back. You see the numbers. The first video clip of the dinosaur ends at 45. The mech starts at 46. The picture ends at 57. So we're going to take our mech and we're going to move it to 58. And left click to lock it in. Right mouse button, scrub the timeline. You see it switches seamlessly. There's no black. And that's a little long, but you could put a speed ramp on it to make it turn faster, but again, that's getting fancy, so I don't want to get too fancy. So that looks okay for now. So we'll go to the end of this, push the middle mouse button down, pull to the left so that we can stay within our workspace. And now we'll bring in another video. Again, it switches back to just this. Hit here and you'll be able to see what you're working with. This time we'll bring in Christiana on the green screen. So here she is, and we'll hold the mouse button down. There's the ship coming in, and this was Ollie's tutorial on how to take live action and put it into a 3D scene. So it's pretty boring just watching her stand there. So we're going to go from when she starts moving her arms here. So we'll just move the timeline where we want it. I'm going to click on it, hold Shift K. We're going to get rid of all that's before it. Hit the X button, get rid of that. If we move our right click back here to bring our timeline, use our arrow keys, back one to check that we're in our right position, because like I said, if you're not, you're going to have a black space there. Click on here, Shift S, and that will snap your video footage to the green timeline. So if we roll back our mouse, we'll be able to see our entire workspace is from here is the beginning. And if you hold your right mouse button down and scrub the timeline, you'll be able to see what you have so far. So we're going to put this right here at the split. Roll your mouse wheel out so you can make sure you're where you want to be. And now we're going to drag in another picture. And like I said, you can drag in pictures or you can open them with the add button, either way. So there's our picture of Christiane on the green screen. It's too long, so grab the arrow, we'll make it a little bit shorter. And I also have another picture of her that I'll bring in. Oops. And now here's the perfect example of a picture that's stretched out. As you can see, that just doesn't look right. She's just a little too stretched out. It also brought it up here because that's what Blender does. It brings it to the next open space on the green timeline. It won't automatically put it back here where you want it. You have to move it there manually. But as you can see, it's a little bit stretched out. So what you do is you click on the picture you want to fix, go to Add, Effect Strip, Transform. It'll put a green transform over top of the strip that you were clicked on. It will not affect any other strip in your scene. It'll only affect the strip that you had it clicked on. And now anything you do to this will go onto the transform, not onto the strip. So if you needed to go back, you could just erase the transform and your strip would still be there. So with the transform clicked, I always click just to make sure that I'm clicked on the right thing. We come over to this panel over here, which we really haven't addressed yet, other than to change the name of the clip. But this is called transform. You can change it here if you wanted to. Say you wanted to change it to Christiana's face, just so you knew what it was when you were looking at it, as opposed to just a transform. You could do that there. Scroll down, and here's where you can change the position of your picture. So XY, you should be, if you use Blender in the 3D environment, you're very familiar with the XY. If you grab and pull, this will move your picture across. Let's say you wanted several pictures to be in the same frame. You would put one on top of the other and move one of them over to the side, or if you use the Y, you would move it up and down. That could be useful in some type of video editing you were doing, but that is what you would do there. The X and Y down here for scale will make it come in or go up and down like that. The other one you can click is uniform scale, which will scale the entire thing like that. Now what will happen when you render this out is behind her, if you leave it like this with your grid showing back here, is you'll see black when you play your video back. So if you wanted to put, say, make her smaller in the center here, and say you wanted to have some kind of motion going on back here, perhaps the video playing of the ship landing behind her, you could do that with the other effect tools that are in here to make it look cool. But for right now, we're just going to concern ourselves with making this picture look right. So that looks about right there. And that looks about right there. So we're going to leave it like that. We could also fix the color because her face is a little blown out. The colors are a little drab looking here. We could fix all that. We could either fix it in GIMP before we even brought it into Blender, or there are, not in this one because I'm on the transform, but there are color correcting things that you can do in Blender. Blender will let you do just about anything in the video editing program. But for right now, this is good. So now we're going to move this behind this picture. So we click on here, hit G, and we'll move it down. As you can see, that one's 144, so this should be 145. Hold the right mouse button and it should come across. You can see our transform is there, so our picture looks a little bit more sized better. So now we're going to make this picture shorter because we're covering up a lot of our video. So we'll just make that a little bit shorter. And if you right mouse click our green timeline back a little bit, hit the play button, we'll be able to see how it changes. So we see her on the green screen and then we see her there. So this is probably a little too short. So we'll pull that out a little bit, right mouse click to go back, hit the play button, and could probably make this one a little longer too. So you get the idea. It isn't optimal, but it'll work for now. So I had quite a few more video and pictures to put in, but you get the general idea of how to bring them in, how to apply a transform to a picture in order to change the dimensions of the picture so it doesn't look all stretched out, how to set up your video output so that you get the high resolution and you know exactly where it's going, and how to utilize the buttons down here. So right now our video goes to, if we use our arrow keys, our last frame is 206. So we just click in the end here, make this 206. Now this will translate out to the default that we set up over here in the very beginning. You can check it when you go back out, but it should say start 1, end 206, and that way you will only render out exactly how long your video is. Let's say there's something as small as this one frame at the end that you want to get rid of. Same principles apply. Click on it, Shift K, click X, don't click the arrow, click in between here. If you have to roll it up this big in order to see in between the arrows, don't X and cut on the arrows because it messes up the whole thing. Just hit X and get rid of the clip. So really it's a little shorter than 206, but that's okay. So there's our video clip, and now I'm going to show you how to go to YouTube and input some free music from YouTube just to make your video a little more interesting, because when family or friends or whoever are watching your child's soccer game, lacrosse game, football game, birthday party, whatever, seeing some pictures interspliced with video to some catchy background music is a whole lot better than an hour of a bunch of screaming kids running around a field or at a table just watching the video run. So I'm going to get the YouTube stuff set up and I'll be right back. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to bring in some music from YouTube. You can use other music if you want, your favorite song or whatever. Just know that if you're making videos for YouTube, like tutorials like Ollie does or things like that, that you have to be very careful about the music that you choose, because you won't be able to monetize or make money off of those videos if you choose to do so, if you have copyrighted music in it. Even though these music clips are from YouTube and are considered free, I would still be careful about what you use in the background. If it's just for family videos, you won't have any problems using whatever music, but I'm going to show you how to get some music from YouTube because they do have a very large library of music and sound effects. So you go to your internet browser, whichever one you use. We use Chrome. Type in YouTube, and I'm going to sign into, oh, I'm already signed into my channel. I'll click on my picture and go to Creator Studio. So once you're here, you go down to Create, and then you come to the audio library. Now, like I said, they have tons of music to pick from. You can go by the genre, you can go by the mood, you can go by the instrument, you can go by how long you need it to be, and you can make a list of your favorites. You can also search if you have some that you've used in the past that you're partial to. You can search right here, which will cut your time down considerably. They also have sound effects. If you click this button, it'll give you a lot of different sound effects that you can add to your video if you want to, make them funny or dramatic or whatever. You can find some very nice sound effects here. But for right now, we're going to use music, and I had Ali search out some music to put to this. So he chose climbing, so we're going to type that in. And here's the clip that he chose. You can click here to preview it, to go through and listen to, find the ones you want. We're going to click download. Once it's downloaded, we'll click show in folder. I'm going to close this out. Once it's downloaded onto your computer, you just do the same thing that you did with your pictures or your video. You can drag and drop. And again, it brings it in on the right side of the timeline. So because I left the timeline here, it brought it in over here, which is fine. So we're going to move the timeline there. We're going to click our audio clip, drag it up, move it in, and we're going to shift S so it snaps right to where I want it to be. So now if we play, we have some music that goes along with our video. Okay, now you want to click on your audio strip, and over here in this window, you could change the name if you needed to keep track of things. We want to scroll down, and we're going to click this box that says draw waveform. And what that does is it puts the waveform in here, which would be very useful if you were editing the audio down to the millisecond. If someone was speaking, it would go right along with their lips as you scrubbed in between the video and the audio that you brought in. In addition to clicking draw waveform, you want to come down here to playback, hit audio scrubbing, go back to playback, and hit AV sync. And what that does is it syncs the audio with the exact video that's underneath it here. If you don't click that, when you play it back, it's going to give you problems. It's going to be off. Our daughter Christiana made a video for one of her science projects at school that she used a song and she put it to pictures, and each of the pictures she wanted it to crescendo at certain pictures, and she was getting so frustrated because it just wouldn't match up right, and that was because she didn't have the AV sync. Once she synced it, it worked fine. So again, you right click and you can scrub through. That sounds like it makes absolutely no sense, but if someone was speaking, you would need to do that in order to line up what they're saying with the video to make your cuts and your transitions and whatnot once you get a little more fancier. But for what we're doing right now, if we hit the play button, you can see how the music just adds a little bit of character and depth to the video. We're going to right click here, and you do the same thing as you do with your other with your video clip. You click on the strip, Shift K, oops, and you hit X on the one you want to delete, and there's our video strip. Now you could have this go all the way out to 50,000 frames if you wanted to. It would extend out until your fingers fall off trying to put in video clips and music, but for right now we're going to leave it right here. So if we're happy with it, which we are for the moment, like I said, there's a lot more things that you can do with this, but I just wanted the basics of how to bring in video, how to bring in a picture, how to resize a picture, how to add audio. Just remember, when you add the audio, click Draw Waveform, and you want to click audio scrubbing and AV sync, and you shouldn't have any problems if you remember to do those steps. So now we're going to go back up to where it says video editing, and we're going to change it back to the default window. If you look over here, all our settings should still be there. New window, HD TV 1080p, which gives you 920 by 1080 at 100%. If you look here in your frame range, start frame is 1, end frame is 206. If you were doing fancy stuff with animation and all of that, you may only want to render out frame 512 to 630 for whatever reason, and that's where you would set in the video editor, or you could set it here. But ours is from 1 to 206, which is the way we want it. We know where it's going because we already set it. We made it the MPEG, and remember I said if you wanted it to be PNGs, you would leave it at PNGs, and then you wouldn't have to set any of this down here. You make it an MPEG 4, you change the bit rate to 24,300, leave minimum 0, maximum 30,000. The only thing we still need to do, because we brought audio in, if we had not brought audio in, we wouldn't need to do this, but because we did, you see audio codec right here, it says none. You want to click MP3 because that will output your audio as an MP3. So you're all set, you're ready to render, and you come up here and you hit render animation. And here's the window that's rendering our animation, and it renders pretty quickly. You won't hear the audio while you're doing this, you'll just see your pictures. So you'll be able to see if there's a mistake. Now there's nothing you can do about it if it's a video, you're just going to have to live with it. If it's PNGs and you see a mistake, you would be able to stop it. So just that quick, it finished. So we're going to find it and I'll play it back. Okay, so I found where I sent it to. I'll open it. And there's the finished video. We use VLC Player, which is a free open source download that does a really good job of replaying videos. It's VLC. V as in Victor, L as in love, and C as in caterpillar, I guess. If you download that, it has no problems playing the Blender files. Blender outputs these files as WAV for the audio and AVI for the video. So like I said, VLC does a really good job in playing them for you. So that's it for the very, very basics of the video editor. I hope you found some of the information in here helpful. If you have any questions about the basics of the video editor, just shoot me an email or a comment and let me know. You can go to our website, www.littleguycgi.com. You can email there, or you can comment, like, and subscribe below. And if you like this video and you want to see more, just let me know. And like I said, later on we'll go into a little bit more of the in-depth things that you can do with video to make them look really, really good, really professional, and really crazy. But this is just the basics, so that if you have some family footage, some kids lacrosse games, soccer games, football games, you want to jazz up a little bit, this should at least get you started. So don't let Blender's interface scare you away. It's a lot to look at when you first open it, but if you break it down into its little pieces, it really is a very nice program to work with. And tutorials like this, like the one my husband Ali Arango makes, and a whole lot of other people that we've learned a lot from watching their videos, put them up on YouTube, and we'll help you through every step of the process until you get the hang of it. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you soon.